my heart go boom, boom, pretty boom, all together.
Now, I'm fascinated to know, where do you source your stuff from? Because does it just come from all over the place?
Basically, yeah. I mean, wherever we are, we're always on the lookout for vintage stuff, even if it's personally or to sell.
So do you kind of end up, whenever you go out, not actually relax and enjoy whatever it is you're
even
doing?
Even when we're on holiday.
You're always sourcing.
Yeah, we are. Definitely.
It's such a... If people... we've been asked that before, and it's such a difficult question to answer, because, we don't look, really. We come across.
Yeah. But do you end up going on holiday with a suitcase each and come back with about 6 because you've just bought all this stuff?
Yeah, I don't bother packing a suitcase. I just take the suitcase itself.
All right, take several empty ones.
Yeah, I'll buy the clothes out there.
I remember one time I went to Berlin and I went with my friend Natalie. And we went to loads of places out there looking for vintage, and I just came back with a really overweight suitcase and got charged an absolute fortune.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
I know.
There goes any profit.
So do you end up having to stick to clothing because you just simply can't bring back watering cans and whatever it is that you come across?
If you find it abroad, then yeah, definitely.
So if you find this really nice chest of drawers, that you just have to have a rule that it just absolutely doesn't come back?
Basically,
yeah, really,
unless we can turn it over so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, sometimes we sell things before we've got them home.
Oh, right.
Just like, that's the joy of iPhones and things like that.
I
You
suppose,
just click and up it goes. But like furniture and things like that, auctions can be very good for things like that. But obscure auctions, I mean, if you're gonna, because you're gonna sell it on.
Yeah.
So, popular auctions. Did
you go kind of with the excitement of the randomness of things like auctions, because you just don't know what you're going to see or what you're going to come across or end up buying?
No, I love auctions. You absolutely hate them.
No, well, yeah, it's not my sort of thing.
Is that just because of the pressure of bidding, or?
Well, there's that. I'm a bit too laid back to get my hand in the air that quickly, but I always let it go. But no, then there's also the element of you have to sit for about an hour of stuff you're not interested in, which essentially is, we're just talking about how this hour goes really quickly when we're doing this, but when you're stood in a barn sardined with lots of strangers in the middle of the countryside for an hour, it takes a long time.
Doesn't go very quickly.
I've seen this TV show, the Storage Hunters one, where they go to people's lockups. Now that's very quick. Can't understand a word the man says.
Absolutely, yeah. No idea who's won.
But that's obviously abroad. And you were saying about sourcing. Was it Berlin just a second ago? So is the vintage scene, for want of a better word, uniquely British, or is it all across Europe?
I don't think so. I think
my question later.
There you go. Got to be quick.
Go on then. Let's cover it now.
I think it's really big in America and Australia too, and then some European countries. But
it's really the Mediterranean, for example, wearing second-hand clothes isn't a positive fashion statement.
Particularly Italy, whereas designers like Chanel and Prada,
it's
are so sort of
vintage is a
central.
compromise.
Yeah,
is it just sort of seen as really second-rate clothing to wear vintage?
There's no distinction between hand-me-downs
unless it's obviously
vintage.
Couture Chanel or something,
That's acceptable.
Yeah,
but even then, that'd be sooner considered a piece of antique rather than a piece of relevant
vintage
clothing. And I think
Is it a status thing? Are you then seen as slightly
Yeah.
poorer because you're wearing second-hand clothing?
Definitely.
Yeah. And I mean, because they are very, those sort of Mediterranean countries like Italy and Spain are all very up to date with that sort of thing. So really, vintage is never going to take off.
So do you find
anytime
good
soon.
vintage items? Do you find good? Do they have second-hand shops?
Not really.
Well, if flea markets and
Right.
things like that, but even then, they don't.
They tend to be more
realise-
antique.
Yeah,
Okay.
but anything like that, they don't tend to realise the value it has to us.
Yeah.
What this can end up. I mean, we had a great find in Paris once, didn't we? The coat where it's.
Oh, it was cashmere.
Yeah.
And it's a personal find for me. But it was a blue cashmere coat with a fur fox collar. I got it for €20.
Wow.
Still got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's a different story.
Yeah.
But places like the Czech Republic and Germany and Paris, but there isn't the same energy that there is in Britain, I'd say.
So it's quite unique, do you think, to the UK?
Well, people do it for different reasons. Like I say, like in America,
There's a whole hipster culture.
yeah, there's the hipster culture, but as well, like I think with Britain, in my opinion, it's
It's more sort of classic.
well, yeah, it is a recreation of something because we've got quite a extensive history in Great Britain
Yeah.
of empire, and we always define that by the clothes and
Yeah.
the voices and the accents and things like that. And so I do think that is a recreation, whereas in America they don't have that extensive history in that sort of thing. So it's more a reenactment rather than a recreation,
Right.
if you know what I mean. It doesn't have that nostalgic element.
Does America then sort of, because a lot of our vintage scene also hangs around the music, doesn't it? So we have we still have a lot of recreation of our big band music and as you well know, the rockabilly scene.
Yeah.
Then from that spurns the clothing and the collecting and the nostalgia. Do you think is that true of America? Does the music come round again like it does here in the UK?
I don't know really.
I think in America there's a big rockabilly scene because of all sort of like
huge.
cowboy,
Right.
like downtown Texas country sort of thing.
They do a lot of drag racing.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
don't they, as
Yeah,
well?
absolutely. But America's one of those places where the whole country is how London is, where it's so diverse
Yeah.
culturally that the things don't really need to be revived.
But then in places like LA, they're all sort of into vintage gym wear because it's something different. Yeah. So obviously they're big on working out there. So they just want to wear something that's a bit different.
I'm not sure I want to wear someone's second-hand leotard,
No,
personally.
no, not really.
Hey, whatever floats your boat. We're going to listen to the RAF Dance Orchestra now with Commando Patrol. one of the things, sorry, I came in too early there. One of the things that you're branching out into is
Muppet songs.
No, don't start, because then we'll have to explain it. No, let's save that for our own conversation.
Off-air banter.
Off-air banter.
Yeah.
One of the things that you're branching out into is vintage fairs. Now, you've done a couple.
Yeah, we go to plenty of other people's.
Yeah.
But
and I said to you one day, "Oh, I think we could do this."
yeah. And that was it.
Yeah.
So,
you set yourselves the challenge.
Yeah, we've
4 weeks later, we had a fair.
Yeah.
Really? Wow. That was a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
We really went to town on it, literally. But no, yeah, we've hosted 2 throwback, vintage, and retro fairs. You had the second one
On the 27th of September.
Yeah, I've both been really pleased with both of them. Actually, they've both been quite big. It's one of those that sort of took a life all of its own, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we held it at York House in Stone Stratford, and it's over 3 floors, which in itself is good because I mean, you don't really get that many people at a vintage fair to start off with.
Yeah.
And then we sort of present it as a live music event as well, which we had 3 bands for both events, didn't we?
Well, we had always 3 acts.
Yeah.
No, on the first one we had the Broadway Twisters. Obviously, I managed to talk them into doing it, and 2 solo performers. This time around we had 2 bands and then 1 solo performer. So we tried to mix it up. Again, the same with our stock. We like to try and keep the music as diverse as possible.
But it's quite an interesting link that you've linked together, as we were just discussing earlier, about the scene grows around the music and vice versa. So is it sort of a feeling that it's a vintage fair with a difference because you have music going on?
Well, yeah, we
music?
didn't just want to be just a normal vintage fair, so we thought, well, what can we do that's different? So one, we have a bar, we have a vintage tea room, which, okay, a lot of vintage fairs have that, but it's a nice sort of element. And then we've got the live music as well, and then we also have Stuart DJing for us as well for the whole day, which works really well because there's a continuous atmosphere.
Absolutely.
So do you find that well, maybe the idea behind it was that people would then stay, so rather than just shop and then go, they actually stay
definitely.
and chill out and hang out and
Absolutely.
eat lots of cake.
Yeah, hopefully. It's this idea that it's an event, so it should act like an event. It's not where someone just comes in and
goes,
does some drive-by shopping. It is where you can sort of sit around and chill out and hang out.
They can really think about the purchases they might want to make.
Yeah.
So
it becomes an experience in itself, coming to the fair, as opposed to sort of stressful shopping and then you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. We wanted it to be a really sort of leisurely sort of affair. Yeah, absolutely.
So did you... no, we were saying off air again, weren't we, that you spent 3 days baking cakes?
It wasn't 3 days, he does exaggerate.
It was more like 7.
2.5.
Yeah.
No, but I sort of practice obviously the week before, make sure the recipes are still...
Poor Billy, did you have to try
perfect.
all those cakes?
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
Oh, God.
And then this time I decided to do a gluten-free option as well, so that was a nightmare trying to find out which gluten-free cake to make.
You had several trial cakes before you went live.
Yeah.
and
then the day before, the whole of the Friday, just spent making cakes and icing and
the kitchen
buttercream.
The kitchen was like some sort of flowery winter wonderland. Just just phase in here somewhere.
Were you sick to death of cakes by the end of it all?
Yeah, definitely. Won't be making a cake for a little while.
Till the next
So how
one.
to put yourself off cakes? Just bake a load.
Bake
of
a load.
Yeah.
Give yourself a headache.
So have you got plans for another vintage fair?
Definitely. We think we'll definitely do one at some point in the future. I'm not really sure when.
Yeah, we're really at the moment trying to gauge how often we should do it, and we think it will probably be a one in the summer, one in the winter sort of affair, and that way we can be a bit more thematic about
We'll also be really picky with what stall holders we have as well, because we want to keep it to a